just to hook round or to stick to. So actually I might think, oh, that's a bit tight, probably going to be all right. But I could turn it, go, no, actually it's going to be better, my first piece being there, that I think might sag there. So you can just work, it's pliable enough to have a few little experiments and think where's the best place for that lantern to lie. Now you can use your fingers, but also your sponge comes quite useful here, just in pressing it down and making sure that willow is coming through the tissue there, so that when it lights up we can see all that lovely infill design that you will have created, and just making sure that there's no little kinks in it as best possible. Now the quality of papering will depend on the age of the child as well, or their experience, and it's meant to be fun, so we don't want to be too like but just want to look out for sags and too many sort of crinkles or ripples in it really. So I can put a bit more glue down on my board. With this wet strength, we noticed that actually you definitely need to keep reapplying glue to your board. And we've got our next piece there, and I might just go right a little overlap as I go round.
Your sponge is your friend, and also people often start using the white side of the scouring pad.
Oh yes, that's a good point. That's meant to be the handle. That's what we're trying to encourage.
Yeah. So it's for everyone. They're not discriminatory in that way, and it doesn't work quite so well if you're trying to glue with the scouring.
So we're just going round there, and so you just keep adding, going round.
Take to get dry?
Well, it just depends on how warm the room is, but that probably will be dry by the time we sort of leave, I would have thought, an hour or two.
Depends on how much glue you're putting on.
Yeah.
If you're pre glue, some yes, it can get a bit. And I think this paper isn't quite so, it does absorb, but it doesn't quite so readily absorb the glue. So it perhaps needs a little bit more.
And you want to just make sure, well, we're sort of going for one layer of tissue, but there will be parts which are overlapped because it's a bit thicker. It doesn't need more than one layer. Sort of cuts down on the time, but there. So we're starting to bring it round there, and might need to sort of building it up. If you've got a lantern like this, they'll probably start papering it like that and go, I'm finished. And you're like, oh no, their bottom. Which is tricky, the bottom, particularly if it's a lantern that hangs down, because as soon as you start to put the paper onto that, it can sag off. So a good tip is to, obviously, maybe don't paper all your side, or this is where we might bring chairs and putting a pole on a chair so they can sort of paper it hanging rather than on the table. But with the bottom in particular, a good tip is just to hook it round. So you can, nice quality control going on there, has it?
Yeah, it might need a bit of...
Yes.
Yeah,
Bit of snipping. You can check that though, but then for the bottom here, I'm going to make sure I've got some overlap to go above, but here, underneath, I'm going to hook that back on itself. There. And that will just make sure that this piece does not sag down. So anything where you can hook it back on itself, particularly on the bottom, will stop the soggy bottom. It is a bit like the bake-off, isn't it, really? Because you don't want that. And you just continue to work around that, making sure, and then actually if you haven't papered all the sides before you do your bottom, you can just make sure it's all stuck in. You can even get inside with your sponge and make sure all of that is looking lovely and it's neat, and bringing all of that in. Something to consider actually before you even start papering is, where is your door going to be for lighting your candle? Where is your entrance point? And Nicola's come up with an ingenious little marker where she takes her space where she's going to cut her door, put a bit of masking tape on there so she knows when she's doing her infill not to do a loopy bit there. So she's got a nice entrance. So you might just start thinking, where is the best place for the door, and be thinking about that a little bit pre-infill, pre-papering.
So as I say, you do need to think about that when you're doing your infill, because infill, in my experience, is compulsive. You start doing it and then you think, oh, actually that's really nice, I'll do that all the way around my lantern. And then before you know it, you're dissecting that one because, oh, that looked really nice, I'll do that all the way around my lantern. And before you know it, you haven't got a hole for your door. B, you've spent another hour and a half fiddling about with the infill. So just leave yourself time.
I think that's why Nicola's little tape a bit of masking tape section is a really good reminder of where that is. So once that's dry and completely covered, that'll go into a hard skin like one we did earlier. With this, like a drum, nice and tight. They can puncture quite easily, so when you are transporting them home and things, just be aware of that. And then once it's dry, we do the door and chimney.
The door in. So knowing where the candle is, what you need to do is put a little where would you say that?
Flap.
A flap of the
Three-sided.
wider masking tape, 3 sides, and a little part of the square, and then you run the Stanley knife through the middle of the masking tape, so you can open it and get access to the candle. And then you need another little bit of masking tape to shut the door. Like that.
And because we're asking people to do that at home, most probably, because their lantern will be there, hopefully taking it home or coming back just to pick it up, we have a little leaflet that we'll be providing everybody with some instructions. It's that poster just there. You can see the kind of diagram there, and it's got the instructions of how to put in their own door and chimney.
And the chimney needs a couple of little holes top where above the candle. This lets the heat of the candle out. So just 2 small holes at the top, and that's your door in your chimney. And that's it.
Yeah. Any questions?